It's Christmas time once again, a season of happiness, cheer, and wintry good tidings. So today, if you might indulge me, I wish to tell you a little Christmas tale, a story about what is now one of the largest animation studios in the world, then at the verge of bankruptcy. A story about a small tin trinket, a Christmas special that was never made, and the lead up to what eventually became what we know today as the feature film Toy Story. This is Pixar's forgotten holiday special that almost was, A Tin Toy Christmas. The year is 1979. Two physicists have been working under the leadership of a man by the name of Alexander Shore at the New York Institute of Technology's Computer Graphics Lab, or simply the CGL, as they called it. This group of scientists were the very first to venture into the world of the CGI we so readily use today. Unknown to them at the time, these two physicists would change the world of animation forever. Their names were Edwin Catmull and Alvy Ray Smith. Eventually, the CGL attracted the attention of legendary filmmaker George Lucas, and to the chagrin of Shore, Catmull and Smith eventually moved over to work at Lucasfilm. It wouldn't take long for George Lucas's resources, along with Catmull and Smith's vision, to lead to tangible results. By the early to mid-1980s, the Lucasfilm Graphics Group had created two of the most noteworthy pieces of computer animation in cinema: the Genesis effect, seen in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and the stained glass night from young Sherlock Holmes. Meanwhile, while the world was being wowed by Star Trek II, there were other goings-on over at the Disney Animation Studio. There was a new young talent who had recently graduated from Cal Arts, who had been hired at Disney. His name was John Lasseter. Lasseter was a talent to be watched, after both of his student films, Lady and the Lamp and Nightmare, won Academy Awards. Lasseter's Cal Arts class also included notable peers, including Tim Burton, Brad Bird, Henry Selick, John Musker, and others. Lasseter was fascinated by the potential of computer animation, such as with the sequences Lucasfilm was creating, and so, when given the opportunity to pitch an animated film adaptation of The Brave Little Toaster, he decided to pitch the idea of using computer animation. The characters would be traditionally animated by hand, while the backgrounds and objects, as well as the camera's angles and motion, would all be done through the computer. To further emphasize the idea, Lasseter worked tirelessly on a short scene adapted from the famous children's story Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. However, Lasseter would soon learn that industries tend to be very fearful of massive change. To say Disney did not like Lasseter's pitch for The Brave Little Toaster would be an understatement. They were so unhappy with the idea of using computer animation, they fired Lasseter shortly that same day. John was crushed, having lost what he believed at the time to be his dream job. This could have been the end of our story. But fate had other plans. John soon found himself at a computer graphics conference, newly jobless, where Catmull and others from Lucasfilm were present. After learning he had been fired from Disney, Catmull and the Lucasfilm team hired him on the spot. Lasseter was excited to have quickly bounced back into an industry position. Lucasfilm was excited to have someone from an animation background, rather than science, join the team. It was a mutually lucrative opportunity, and everyone involved still had the same long-term dream: to make a feature film that was entirely animated with a computer. With this dream in mind, Lasseter's first project with Lucasfilm was a short film to showcase the potential he had envisioned with his pitch for The Brave Little Toaster. Lasseter's experience in animation immediately proved valuable to the team of scientists at Lucasfilm, insisting that despite three-dimensional animation, characters still needed to squash and stretch like traditional animation to showcase their personalities. Combined with revolutionary backgrounds, motion blur, and particle effects, Lasseter's efforts resulted in a short film titled The Adventures of Andre and Wally B. The hardware and software Catmull and his team developed that was used on Andre and Wally B was packaged for sale by the company as well. The team at Lucasfilm named the proprietary computer the Pixar. Eventually, after the lukewarm financial success of Return of the Jedi and the box office disaster that was Howard the Duck, George Lucas was running tight on cash, and found the computer graphics department at Lucasfilm to be too expensive to maintain. Not wanting to disband after signs of potential in young Sherlock Holmes and Lasseter's Wally B, the team that would become Pixar, led by Ed Catmull, looked to become an independent company. For that, they would need an investor. Enter Steve Jobs. Having recently been fired from Apple, Jobs purchased Pixar from Lucas for just $5 million. One of the first sales Pixar made as an independent company was in fact to Disney, selling their CAPS software, used for animation coloring, which can be seen in films such as Beauty and the Beast. During this time, Pixar was selling computers, mainly via government contracts, in fields such as medicine, in order to keep the lights on. However, the primary focus was still animation, and Lasseter continued to make short films. One of these in 1986 was the revolutionary short Luxo Junior, which used characterized Luxo lamps playing with the now classic yellow, red, and blue Pixar ball. Lasseter showcased the short at a computer graphics conference known as SIGGRAPH, where he received a standing ovation. Eventually, Luxo Junior even earned an Academy Award nomination. Soon after, the Luxo lamp and Pixar ball became the mascot and symbol we know them as today. The short led to commercial deals, such as a computer-animated Tropicana orange juice commercial, which were some of the first financially lucrative sources for Pixar. Still, despite its growing resume, Pixar was bleeding money, with Jobs reportedly losing upwards of $1 million a year. Thankfully, Jobs saw the potential in Pixar's animation and stayed patient. However, even with the most flexible of investors, something would need to change if Pixar wanted to stay in business. The company sold off its hardware division, doubling down its focus on animation rather than computer sales. Other shorts followed, including Tin Toy and Knick Knack. It was these two shorts that gained the attention of Disney, the same company that had mercilessly fired John Lasseter just a few years prior. Eventually, Pixar and Disney were able to reach a deal, with Lasseter proposed to direct a feature film using computer animation. The film would be about toys, a pitch by Lasseter himself, with an understandably hesitant John finally agreeing to direct when Disney promised to stay as hands-off as possible. With Pixar on the precipice of bankruptcy, the deal was huge for the company. However, Pixar quickly became concerned. Up until this point, they had only made shorts and commercials, and so Lasseter came back to Disney with a new idea. An easier transition project from shorts to features, a half-hour Christmas special that would be a sequel to the Pixar short Tin Toy, starring the main character Tinny himself. A Tin Toy Christmas. Disney liked the idea and agreed to make the special, and the rest is history. Or it would have been, except the use of computer animation led to the special's budget being nearly 18 times higher than the normal allotted budget for Christmas specials. No TV networks would produce the project. Pixar went back to the drawing board. Eventually, they believed in themselves and went forward with the original plan of a feature film. The end result was Toy Story, which released to box office revenue of over $300 million. Academy Awards and Library of Congress conservation came next. The future was bright. Catmull, Smith, and Lasseter's dream of a computer-animated feature film had become a reality, and animation was changed forever. Still, I find this small, forgotten pitch of a Christmas special to be such a wonderful piece of animation history. If we take a look at the pitch for A Tin Toy Christmas, one will notice nearly all of the ideas eventually found their way into the Toy Story movie franchise. The plot was to focus on Tinny, a small trinket from the 1940s who was stowed away in long-term storage, only to emerge in the modern day inside a huge toy store with his friends nowhere to be seen. Tinny teams up with a ventriloquist dummy and a giant pink teddy bear named Lotso to try and find his friends before Christmas. Lotso obviously came back for Toy Story 3. Toys being left behind remained the plot of the original Toy Story. The ventriloquist dummy went on to become Woody, and the plot of toys from yesteryear being released from storage can be seen in Toy Story 2, as well as the setting of a giant toy store with Al's Toy Barn. Tinny would also make an official reappearance in Toy Story 4. I believe this small bit of animation animation trivia finds a perfect home in a Christmas setting. The tale of Pixar, John Lasseter, and Toy Story is one fraught with underdogs, moments before disaster, determination, and success against all odds. Today, Toy Story remains a massive commercial IP, and its mark on the animation industry was truly revolutionary. CG animation is now both the industry standard and more cost-effective than traditional animation, something the startup version of Pixar probably couldn't even fathom. This little canceled Christmas tale is one that reminds us, sometimes, miracles do happen. With that, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. I hope it is a wondrous time of celebration and joy. Until next time, this has been Silence, signing out. I'll see you all next time in the new year.